You have been hurt before. Deeply hurt. The kind of hurt that made you question everything you believed about people, about love, about yourself. Maybe it was betrayal. Maybe it was abandonment. Maybe it was someone you trusted using your vulnerability against you. Whatever it was, it changed you. It made you careful. It made you guarded. It made you build walls so high that nobody could ever reach you like that again. And for a while, that felt like protection. That felt like strength. That felt like the only way to survive. But now those walls feel like a prison. You are safe, but you are also alone. You are protected, but you are also numb. You are untouchable, but you are also unreachable. And somewhere deep inside, you know this is not sustainable. You know that living behind walls is not the same as living. You know that protecting yourself from pain also means protecting yourself from connection, from joy, from anything real. But you do not know how to do it differently. You do not know how to be open without being destroyed. You do not know how to be vulnerable without being taken advantage of. You do not know how to let people in without giving them the power to hurt you. So you stay behind the walls. You tell yourself it is better this way, safer this way. You convince yourself that being untouchable is a form of strength. But it does not feel like strength. It feels like slowly disappearing, like becoming less human, like trading your capacity to feel for the illusion of control. Here is what Freud understood that most people never learn. Emotional invulnerability is not strength. It is death. It is the death of the part of you that can connect, that can love, that can be fully alive. And the brutal truth is that if you want to be truly strong, if you want to be truly free, you cannot protect yourself from pain. You have to learn to endure it. You have to develop the capacity to feel everything without being destroyed by it. You have to become someone who can be hurt and survive, who can be disappointed and recover, who can be betrayed and still choose trust. Not because pain does not matter, but because your capacity to feel, to connect, to be vulnerable is more important than your safety. Freud spent his entire career studying the human psyche, and what he discovered were truths so brutal that most people spend their lives avoiding them. Truths about what it really takes to be psychologically mature, what it really means to be emotionally strong, what it really costs to be fully human. And today we are going to explore 8 of those truths. 8 insights that will shatter your comfortable illusions, but will also give you something far more valuable. The ability to live without walls. The capacity to be touched by life without being destroyed by it. The strength to be vulnerable and survive. These truths are not easy. They are not pleasant, but they are liberating. And if you can face them, if you can integrate them, you will become emotionally untouchable in the only way that matters. Not because nothing can hurt you, but because nothing can break you. The first brutal truth is this: your pain is not special. You are not the only person who has suffered. You are not the only person who has been hurt. You are not the only person carrying wounds from the past. And Freud would tell you that thinking your pain is unique, thinking your suffering is worse than everyone else's, that is narcissism. It is the ego protecting itself by making your experience exceptional. Because if your pain is special, if your trauma is unprecedented, then you do not have to do the work of healing. You can just stay wounded. You can make your identity about being damaged. You can use your pain as an excuse for not growing. But the truth? The truth is that everyone is wounded. Everyone is carrying something. Everyone has been hurt by someone they loved. Everyone has been betrayed, abandoned, disappointed, broken. The difference is not in the pain. The difference is in what you do with it. Do you let it define you? Do you build your entire identity around being a victim of your past? Or do you recognize that suffering is the universal human condition and you are not exempt from it? That your job is not to avoid pain, but to process it, to integrate it, to transform it into wisdom instead of letting it calcify into bitterness. When you realize your pain is not special, when you stop using it as a shield against growth, you become free. Free to heal, free to move forward, free to stop being the person who was hurt and become the person who survived. The second brutal truth is that nobody is coming to save you. No therapist, no partner, no friend, no parent can do your psychological work for you. Freud understood that the unconscious can only be accessed from within. That healing is an inside job, that you can have all the support in the world, but if you are not willing to face your own darkness, to sit with your own discomfort, to take responsibility for your own growth, nothing will change. And this is devastating for most people to accept, because we want someone else to fix us. We want to be rescued. We want someone to come along and make the pain stop without us having to do the hard work of transformation. But it does not work that way. Nobody can heal your wounds for you. Nobody can process your trauma for you. Nobody can make you whole except you. And the longer you wait for someone else to save you, the longer you stay stuck. The longer you avoid the one thing that will actually set you free, which is turning toward yourself with compassion and doing the brutal work of integration. If you're starting to feel the weight of these truths, if something is shifting in how you see yourself and your patterns, take a moment and like this video, not for me, for you, as acknowledgement that you are ready to stop hiding behind comfortable lies and start facing difficult truths. Let me pause here for a moment because I need to ask you something that matters. Have you ever felt like you are living two lives at once? The one everyone sees, where you smile and function and pretend everything is fine, and the one inside your head where you are struggling, confused, doubting every choice you make? That split, that exhausting performance of being okay when you are not, it is something Freud understood deeply. And I want you to know something. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are human. And what you are feeling right now, this exact struggle you are carrying, someone else watching this video is feeling it too. They are sitting there thinking they are the only one, just like you might be thinking right now. So I'm going to ask you to do something that might feel vulnerable, but it is important. Go down to the comments right now and type this exact phrase. I feel this. Just those 3 words. I feel this. You do not need to explain. You do not need to write your whole story. Just let those words be your voice today. Because when you do that, something powerful happens. The person scrolling through these comments, the one who feels completely alone in their pain, they are going to see your comment. And for the first time in maybe days, weeks, or months, they are going to realize they are not alone either. Your 3 words might be the thing that helps them breathe a little easier tonight. This is not just about engagement. This is about connection. This is about breaking the silence that keeps us isolated in our suffering. Freud built his entire life's work on one simple truth. We heal when we speak what has been hidden. So speak it now. Go to the comments. Type I feel this. And know that by doing so, you are not just helping yourself. You are helping every single person who needs to know that what they feel is real, is valid, and is shared. Do it now. I will wait. The third brutal truth is that most of your behavior is unconscious. You are not in control the way you think you are. Freud estimated that about 95% of your mental activity happens below the level of conscious awareness, which means that most of what you do, most of what you think, most of what you feel, you do not choose. You are running programs that were installed in childhood. You are repeating patterns that were carved into your psyche before you had the capacity to understand what was happening. And until you make the unconscious conscious, until you bring those patterns into awareness, you will keep acting them out. You will keep choosing the same type of person who hurts you. You will keep sabotaging good things. You will keep responding to current situations as if they are past traumas. Not because you want to, but because you are being controlled by forces you cannot see. And this is terrifying, because it means you are not who you think you are. You are not the rational, self-directed agent you imagine yourself to be. You are a collection of unconscious drives and defenses and traumas all fighting for control. But it is also liberating, because once you understand that your behavior is unconscious, you stop hating yourself for it. You stop thinking you are fundamentally broken. You start to see yourself as someone who needs to do the work of becoming conscious. And that work is hard, but it is possible, and it is the only path to real freedom. The fourth brutal truth is that your defenses are killing you. All those mechanisms you developed to protect yourself, the walls you built, the patterns you created to keep yourself safe, they are not protecting you anymore. They are imprisoning you. Freud understood that defense mechanisms like denial, repression, projection, rationalization, they are necessary for survival. We could not function if we had to consciously process every painful truth all the time. But defenses are meant to be temporary. They are meant to give you time to develop the capacity to face what you could not face before. The problem is that most people never do that work. They never develop the capacity. So the defenses become permanent. They become your personality. And you spend your whole life avoiding, numbing, projecting, denying. And that avoidance costs you everything. It costs you your capacity for intimacy, your ability to feel joy, your connection to yourself. Your defenses keep you safe from pain, but they also keep you safe from life. And at some point, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is the safety worth the numbness? Is the protection worth the isolation? Because you cannot have both. You cannot be defended and connected. You cannot be armored and intimate. You have to choose. And choosing to let the defenses down, choosing to feel, choosing to be vulnerable even when it is terrifying, that is what makes you emotionally untouchable. Not because nothing can hurt you, but because you can be hurt and still be okay. You can survive the pain because you have learned that pain is temporary, but your capacity to feel is what makes you human. The fifth brutal truth is that you will repeat your childhood until you resolve it. Freud called this repetition compulsion, and it is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. You do not just remember your past. You relive it over and over. In every relationship, in every dynamic, in every choice, you are trying to master what you could not master as a child. You are trying to get from current people what you did not get from past people. You are recreating familiar patterns because familiar feels safe even when familiar is destroying you. And this is why you keep ending up in the same situations. Why you keep attracting the same type of person. Why you keep feeling the same feelings even though the circumstances are different. Because you have not resolved the original wound. You have not processed the original trauma, so your unconscious keeps bringing you back to it, hoping this time will be different, hoping this time you will finally get it right. But you will not get it right until you stop trying to resolve the past through the present, until you go back and face what actually happened, until you grieve what you did not get instead of trying to get it now from people who cannot give it to you. The compulsion to repeat is not a curse. It is an opportunity. It is your psyche giving you chances to heal. But you have to recognize the pattern. You have to see it clearly, and then you have to do something different, not just in your behavior, but in your understanding. You have to stop recreating the past and start creating something new. The sixth brutal truth is that forgiveness is not about them. It is about you. And Freud would tell you that holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Resentment does not hurt the person who hurt you. It hurts you. It keeps you tied to them. It keeps you living in the past. It keeps you giving them power over your present. And the brutal truth is that most people do not forgive because they think forgiveness means excusing what happened. They think forgiveness means saying it was okay, but that is not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is releasing your attachment to the pain. It is choosing to stop carrying what someone else did to you. It is deciding that you are more important than your resentment. And this does not mean you have to reconcile. It does not mean you have to let them back into your life. It does not mean you pretend nothing happened. It means you stop letting what they did define you. You stop letting their actions control your emotional state. You take back your power by releasing the need for them to acknowledge what they did, to apologize, to make it right, because they probably never will. And waiting for them to give you closure is giving them control over your healing. Forgiveness is saying, I do not need anything from you. I am releasing this so I can be free. And that makes you untouchable, because you are no longer giving anyone the power to keep you trapped in the past. You already know this, but we're not ready to understand ourselves alone. The human mind is vast, complex, and often frightening to explore without guidance. If this content is helping you see yourself more clearly, if these insights about Freud's work are bringing light to parts of yourself you've kept hidden, then consider subscribing to this channel. This is not just another psychology channel. This is a space where we explore the depths of human nature together, where we take the most profound concepts from psychoanalysis and make them accessible, practical, and deeply personal. Every video here is designed to help you understand not just theory, but yourself, your patterns, your fears, your desires, the invisible forces that have been shaping your choices without your awareness. When you subscribe, you are making a commitment to yourself. You are saying that you are ready to look deeper, to understand more, to stop running from the truth of who you are. And I promise you this, I will be here every week, bringing you insights that matter, explanations that actually make sense, and perspectives that can genuinely change how you see yourself and the world around you. This journey of self-understanding is not easy. Freud knew this. He spent his entire life mapping the human psyche precisely because he understood how lost we can feel inside our own minds. But you do not have to walk this path alone. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, become part of a community of people who have decided that understanding themselves is worth the discomfort, worth the effort, worth the time, because at the end of the day, the most important relationship you will ever have is the one with yourself. And that relationship deserves your attention, your curiosity, and your courage. So subscribe now and let's continue this exploration together. Your future self will thank you for taking this step today. The seventh brutal truth is that you are responsible for your own happiness. Nobody else can make you happy. No relationship, no achievement, no external circumstance can give you lasting fulfillment. Because happiness is not something that happens to you. It is something you create from within. And Freud understood that people who look outside themselves for happiness will always be disappointed. Because external things change. People leave, achievements fade, circumstances shift. But if your sense of worth, Your sense of peace, your sense of fulfillment depends on things outside your control. You will spend your whole life at the mercy of forces you cannot manage. The brutal truth is that you have to take responsibility for your inner state. You have to stop waiting for life to make you happy and start creating the conditions for happiness yourself. And that does not mean pretending everything is fine when it is not. It does not mean toxic positivity or denying your pain. It means recognizing that your emotional state is ultimately your responsibility, that you can choose how you interpret what happens to you, that you can choose what meaning you make, that you can choose where you focus your attention. And this is hard, because it means you cannot blame anyone else anymore. You cannot make your misery someone else's fault. You have to own it. You have to say, this is my life, and I am the one who has to make it worth living. And that is terrifying. But it is also empowering, because it means you are not helpless. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are the author of your own experience. And that makes you untouchable. Because nobody can take that power away from you unless you give it to them. The eighth and final brutal truth is that death is coming. You are going to die. Everyone you love is going to die. Everything you build will eventually crumble. Everything you achieve will be forgotten. And Freud would tell you that most of human behavior is driven by the unconscious awareness of our own mortality. We build defenses against death. We create illusions of permanence. We distract ourselves with achievements and relationships and identities. Anything to avoid facing the fundamental truth that we are finite, that our time is limited, that one day we will cease to exist. And this truth is so brutal that most people never face it. They live their entire lives in denial of death. But Freud understood that facing death is what makes life meaningful. When you truly accept that you are going to die, when you let that truth sink in, everything changes. You stop wasting time on things that do not matter. You stop living for other people's approval. You stop postponing your life waiting for the perfect moment. You start to live urgently, authentically, fully, because you understand that this is it. This is all you have. And wasting it on fear, on performance, on protecting yourself from pain, that is the real tragedy. Not death, but a life unlived. When you face your mortality, when you accept that you are temporary, you become untouchable. Not because you do not care, but because you care about the right things. Because you stop letting fear control you. Because you realize that the only thing worse than being hurt is never really living at all. Here is what I need you to understand as we close. These 8 truths are brutal. They shatter comfortable illusions. They force you to face what you have been avoiding. But they are also liberating. Because once you accept them, once you integrate them, you become free. Free from the need for external validation. Free from the prison of your defenses. Free from the compulsion to repeat the past. Free from the illusion that safety is more important than living. You become emotionally untouchable, not because you have built walls, but because you have torn them down. Not because you cannot be hurt, but because you can be hurt and survive. Not because you are invulnerable, but because you have developed the capacity to feel everything without being destroyed by it. That is real strength. That is real freedom. That is what it means to be fully human, and it is available to you. But only if you stop hiding. Only if you stop protecting yourself from life. Only if you choose to be vulnerable, to be open, to be real, even when it terrifies you. Because on the other side of that terror is everything you have been looking for. Connection, joy, meaning. The capacity to love and be loved. The ability to feel fully alive. Not someday, not when you are healed enough, or strong enough, or safe enough. Now. In this imperfect, painful, beautiful, temporary life. So let me ask you this as we close. Which of these truths hit you the hardest? Which one are you still resisting? Which one do you need to face in order to finally be free? Sit with that question. Let it work on you. Because recognizing what you are avoiding is the first step to transformation. Share this video with someone who is hiding behind walls. Someone who thinks being untouchable means being defended. Someone who needs to understand that real strength is not about avoiding pain, but about surviving it. And tell them, you do not have to live behind walls anymore. You can be open and still be strong. You can be vulnerable and still be safe. You can feel everything and still be okay. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being willing to face these brutal truths. Thank you for choosing growth over comfort, truth over illusion, life over safety. You are not broken. You are becoming, and that becoming requires you to shatter who you thought you were so you can discover who you actually are. That is not destruction. That is transformation, and you are ready for it. Even if you do not feel ready, even if it terrifies you, you are ready. Now go live like it.